Okay, I'll just give you a quick rundown from my perspective. First of all, it's a win, and wins are, everyone thinks they're easy. They're not. They're hard, and so we'll take the win, and we're happy about that, excited about that. That being said, as everybody knows, there's a lot of things that we need to improve upon and correct. And so I'll just kind of, being the pessimist that I am, I'll hit those first. Let's hit the positives. Can we hit the positive first? Let's hit the positives first. All right. I thought our offense was really sharp tonight, especially for the first game. Unfortunately, in the first half, we couldn't get him on the field because we couldn't stop that darn quarterback. That quarterback is a really good player, really good runner, and we have to figure out a way to get those types of guys stopped. And what was happening is that, we had some first game anxieties, and we had some guys that were, trying to do a little bit too much than just their job. In the second half, when we settled down and we stopped jumping around blocks and losing leverage or trying to go inside or spin or getting too far up the field, we had a little bit more success. But if we could have gotten our offense the ball a little bit more in the first half, I'm not sure that we couldn't have done some better things offensively. I thought Brett was really good. He looked very calm. He looked very poised. I thought our offensive line did a very good job both in protection and in the run game. I was happy with the way we came out of the huddle in the second half and started both offensively and defensively. Certainly the block punt is a huge momentum changer for us. And then, one real silver lining in a game like that is that the young guys, the experience that the young guys got in that game. I mean, you saw some of our young guys make some what I think will impact plays, some really good plays. You saw how much of a force Eddie can be in there. You saw Miles Jack running around, Deion Hollins. You saw Tahan come up and make a big hit. Darren Andrews made a catch. Thomas Duarte made a catch. I think that Alex Redmond probably played very well. And so, we were able to play a lot of those guys. We're going to depend on those guys down the stretch. And so for us to be able to get them a chance to play is important. The negatives, certainly the quarterback runs. We have to fix that. And so I don't want to put it on the players necessarily, jumping out of gaps and things. That's certainly part of it. We have to do a better job of coaching it, and we have to have answers more readily available. So that's something that we have to look at hard as a staff. And then our old friend, the penalty, just jumped up and bit us in the second half. And obviously I didn't do a very good job of getting the message across. We've actually been really clean through camp. And tonight, we just fell back into the old trap, especially in the second half. And so that's something that we have to look at, again, very hard. We have to put emphasis on it. We can't sugarcoat it. It is what it is. You win big and you put 58 points up. It's sometimes easy to shove some things under the carpet. We can't do that. And so we'll just continue to work hard on it, continue to emphasize it, continue to bring officials in, continue to put pressure on our players in practice so when they get in game situations like this, we react accordingly. But it was a win, and it's a good way to start the season. And so now we have a bye, gives us a chance to correct some of these things, and then we move on to Nebraska. So.
Can you talk about the decision to start Redmond over Beninock and what went into that this week?
We kind of made that decision at the start of the week. Caleb had a really strong start in camp, and then he hit a little bit of a wall. I'm not sure if he was just tired, maybe a little overwhelmed. Alex, conversely, started slow in camp, and then he came on late. And he played really well. So it was really just we feel good about both of those guys. We think that Caleb maybe is a right tackle even, okay? But it was really neat to see Alex in there and playing well and really all those young guys.
What do you think of Jordan James' performance, and did he do enough to really secure himself as the number one back?
Well, he's the number one back. He's our starter right now. But we'd like to be able to play Stephen Manfro. We'd like to be able to play Paul. It was great to see Malcolm get in there and make some plays. We got to see Rosie. Unfortunately, Melvin fumbled that one. We were going to try to get him some carries. He's our number one back. But you know how we play offense. We're going to roll those guys through. We have to play at the tempo that we play at. Guys are going to have. We're going to have to use multiple backs. So I think first of all, the credit has to start with the offensive line, the way they blocked. I think it has to start with the receivers, the way they got downfield and blocked, and then certainly the runners did a nice job.
Coach, Brett seemed to get a little sharper as the game went on, and can you talk about what he did and also what he did with his legs as well?
Well, I thought he was sharp the whole game. That was my opinion. You know, maybe it looked different to you guys, but I thought he just looked very poised, very calm, very under control. A lot of that had to do with the fact that the offensive line wasn't letting people get close to him. But I thought he did a good job with his legs as well. You know, there was one time there, I think in the second quarter, when he was rolling out to our sideline to his left, and he tried to square up and throw it down the field, and I thought he had some green grass in front of him where he could have run it. He'll learn from that. You know, he's just got to find the right mix of when to throw it and when to run it. I think he only took really one hit, and that's when he kind of went up the middle in there, and he got hit pretty good. And I don't like to see that. He's got to make sure that he does a good job of protecting himself. But I thought Brett played efficiently. I was pleased with him. He missed a couple deep balls, you know, like to hit those, but we'll get them.
Yeah, Jim, you went through the positive and negatives, but overall, I'm assuming you've got to be pleased. Just overall, as a first step, what does this represent as just a first step, one game?
Well, it's a good first step for us. You know, there's so many unknowns when you go into any season, and you know, let's not forget that that's a good football team, Nevada. I mean, they beat Cal last year. Cal whooped us. They were right in it with Arizona. You know, they've got a lot of California kids that came down here and wanted to perform well, and but you know, when you can win and you can win convincingly and you can come out in the second half and make some corrections to the things that you were struggling with in the first half, I think that's a good sign for us.
Jim, you talked about first game jitters. Can you expand on the block punt and what that did to seem to relax guys and, as you mentioned, momentum?
Yeah, you know, it was interesting at halftime. We made our adjustments. There was really no panic. There was no anxiety. But we felt as a team we need to come out and start fast, you know, and start to establish ourselves. And so, we were able to do that. You know, did we score on the first drive on offense? I think we came out and scored, and then we finally got him stopped. We got the sack. Keenan Graham got the sack. And then to go out and make a momentum-changing play like that block, that's big. When you can score on special teams, then the likelihood of you winning that game really, really jumps up. And just, you know, we needed that play at that moment to kind of, okay, here we go. We're back at it now. So it was a big play.
Coach, first game without Jonathan Franklin in the backfield. Is it as good of a performance as you could have expected? Over 300 yards from
Is that what
the other
it was?
guys? Yeah.
I'll take 300 anytime. That's yeah. I would have to agree with that. It was a heck of a performance. And once again, I think that, you know, and maybe you're going to talk to Jordan and Paul, I don't know who you're going to talk to, but I guarantee you that the first thing they'll tell you is that the blocking was outstanding. There were some good holes, but they made some things happen too. You know, I think what we saw with Jordan tonight was something that I've talked about a little bit during camp, is that he has become a better one-cut and downhill runner. And then when he gets to the second level, he uses his shake, where in the past his shake happened a little bit too much in the backfield and the hole would close. He's got shake. I mean, he can make people miss. He's learning how to make a miss down the field rather than in the backfield, so that's a real positive.
You're talking about the young guys on defense, and wanted to know if you felt like your front seven is now deep enough to where you can shuttle guys in like you'd like to. And also what everybody talked about before the season was the defensive backfield. How do you think they came out of this tonight?
Well, I think that we have some good depth up front, both on the defensive line and the secondary. And we rotated those guys through tonight like we would like to be able to do, both at the D-line position and at the linebacker position. I mean, you saw a lot of Kenny Orgioki. You saw a lot of Miles Jack. You know, towards the end, you got to see Hoff and Isaac up front. You know, we played the three starters, and you got to see Keenan play a lot. You got to see Eddie play a lot. You got to see Kylie play a lot. You got to see Kenny Clark play a lot. We'd like to be able to play that way to keep guys fresh. And so I think we're going to have good depth up there. The secondary, you know what, I'm going to give you old coach cliche, I need to look at the film. And I mean that sincerely. I don't know how they played. You know, I know this. If you can keep the ball in front of you and not give up big plays, then you've always got a chance. And we didn't give up the big plays in the passing game tonight, and so that's a positive.
Jim, you're going to see quite a few running quarterbacks throughout the course of the season. How important was it in Game 1 to see a very talented one and then put on film how you defended it and what you did right and what you did wrong?
I think it's invaluable. You know, Taylor Martinez, who we play next, is, you know, to me, one of the top running quarterbacks in football at any level. And so for us to play a guy like we did today and him have the success that he had and us learn from it is really going to help us. To see it on film is really going to ingrain the learning in our young men, and it's going to give us a chance to say, okay, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What do we need to coach better? What do we need to adjust? And so we'll start with that tomorrow because, you know, we can't let quarterbacks do that to us. And that's what's interesting about this college game is that, you know, quarterbacks are such threats running the football. It's just, I'm still trying to adjust to it. I better adjust pretty darn quick.
Jim, you made it a point to go over to their quarterback after the game to say something. Any reason why you wanted to do that or make it a point to?
Yeah,
go over there?
because he's gutsy and tough, and he's a heck of a player, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. And I know this was a big game for him coming back to the Rose Bowl. You know, he grew up a fan of UCLA, and I just wanted to tell him how much I respected his performance, and let him know I think he's a heck of a football player.
Coach, do you have an update on Priest? Priest Willis?
No.
Any other questions?
All right, thank you.